Lisa Rustin, and I'm the creator of Divorce Games. And I have a special guest today, James Thomas, sorry.
That's right.
And he is with Docusolveusa.com. And I knew you through helping me print up my divorce games. And why don't you tell us about your business?
Well, okay, sure. Well, I've been in the printer and copier business for about 25 years. I own my own successful business here in San Antonio in the printer and copier business. I got acquired by another company, and then I realized that kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Instead of printing more, people are really looking towards the paperless, society. So Docusolve, that's what we do. We help businesses get organized when it comes to the hard copy filing that you have. Workflow management, paper management, and control that and really help you go paperless. It makes it easier to become HIPAA compliant. It makes it easier to address and conform to security concerns when it comes to the hard copy documents. And it takes out the physical need to handle a document multiple times. And, printing is a huge cost in a small business or any business.
Right. And
people don't realize that there is a cost associated with not only with that hardware, but actually every time you print, it's costing you 2 cents per page or for black and white or color, 8 to 14 cents. So a document management software helps you get away from having to print those, thus eliminating, one of the hard costs in a business.
Right. And I hate filing paperwork. It just seems to collect dust and build up on your desk, and then it stresses you out more. Like, oh my goodness, that's one more thing to do. And I like that you're HIPAA and cybersecurity aware and compliant, because that makes me feel safe when I'm sharing my documents, whether it's personal documents, my business documents,
right,
or whatever other documents I plan to share with you. So that's a great business.
Yeah, and the software has a great tool to where it's OCR. So if you have a particular document and you're looking for something. It contains metadata. So if you're looking for a document that's a particular invoice number 345, put it in the search bar, which is very similar to like the Google search bar, and it's going to retrieve that particular document. And of course, you can refine it, further and further down the road. So it's incredible.
Great. Well, I love that idea. And the way that we also started talking about your business versus mine was because you helped me print out Divorce Games,
Yep,
which is actually an ebook that I created to help people as they're going through divorce. And as we were talking and I'm showing you all my documents, you were like, oh my goodness, where were you 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So can you explain to me why you felt that Divorce Games was such a pivotal thing to create?
Yeah. So when you showed me the documents and I started, kind of being nosy as I was printing it, I saw some incredible, usable information in there, like the checklist that you have and things that you just don't think about because it's such an emotional roller coaster, and you really don't know where to go. You're getting advice from friends, you're getting advice from family, some good, some bad, but the bottom line is you're in a world and your world is spun and you just have no idea what's going on, and it really helps you become more methodical, and hopefully at the end of the day, using a product like yours, it helps you come to an amicable solution because everybody's happy and everything's lined out and it's documented, and your book and your information leads you down that path step by step.
Great, thank you. And so the one set of documents that you really liked was the documents to gather. And why did you feel that was important? Because you told me yesterday that, oh my goodness, I don't have some of these things. I'm still fighting my ex-wife to obtain these documents.
Yeah, this really hit home with me because literally the night before we sat down and visited, I'm trying to find my son's birth certificate, and I don't have a copy. Which, my son lives with me and has for several years, and I don't have a copy of his birth certificate. And there's other things on here that I didn't even realize that I needed until now. I'm in a hurry up mode to try to get it, and guess what? I don't have it. Had I had this checklist, I would have had that in the beginning, and I wouldn't be here. And there's other items on here too that you just don't think about when it comes to real estate and tax returns and that type of thing. So you're just this initial checklist would have helped me get way above and out in front of the game, as it were.
Right, and it doesn't even just include checklists, right? It includes like a real estate value sheet,
Yeah.
because a lot of people don't realize what the behind the scenes fees that go into owning a property, and is it the best for you to keep that property after your divorce, because now you're going to be splitting up incomes.
Yeah, and what I really like about this is you developed a matrix on here, so you can plug in the numbers, and it can help you make an intelligent decision, an educated decision. And again, you gotta, as difficult as it is, you've got to remove as much of the emotion from the process as you can, and look at hard numbers. You know, does this make sense? And the matrices that you've developed, and the formulas would have made things so much easier for me as well. And again, it goes back to these are things you just don't think about.
Right. Yeah, I know. I didn't think about that too. I also have like a calculating of financial value plans, especially if you've been married 10 years or greater, because in many states, well, that's considered a long-term marriage. And then there are common property states. I believe there is 10 to 13 of them. And so most of the time stuff is split 50-50. So it took me a good 30 days to develop that type of spreadsheet, because I put the formulas in there.
Yep.
And with the caveat that even if you plug in the formulas, you still should probably take it to an accountant, because I just want to make sure you actually filled it out properly and actually calculated what you owe. The other thing that I also find is, and you told me an interesting story, you, and I tell people this all the time, I don't think you should always tell your attorney everything and give all the documents. And tell us a story as to why you agree with me on that one instance.
Yeah, you know, again, I'm all about the first thing I always tell people when they're going through a divorce is listen to your attorney, do what your attorney tells you to do, but you don't necessarily want to lay it all out there, because you still have to remember the attorney. And I love my attorney; they did a wonderful job for me, but they're still in a business, so disclosing too much information and anything it can put you a little bit behind the power curve, because let's face it, there's a lot of behind the scene negotiations going on.
Right.
And in my case, I probably showed my cards a little more than what I should have. And again, I never would have thunk, you know,
Right.
For lack of a better word. But the information that you have in the book, it really outlines that, and it makes it make sense. Well, again, you want to trust your attorney.
Right.
You have to. If you don't trust your attorney, then you need to move on.
Right.
And you need to do what the attorney says. But you need to really think through before you start just opening the door to everything.
Right. And as I was telling James yesterday, I always believe that you should really have everything calculated first, where it's quiet, it's not full of stress and contention, and really look through, okay, we have this, and we have this debt. Okay, you should never walk out of a divorce with a debt. So how can you pay off your debt and still walk away with as even of a distribution of your wealth as possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, had I had this information 4 years ago, I think that the one thing that I wanted to point out is reading through this is the important thing to do before you go meet with your attorney, because it helps you it helps you gather the facts.
Right.
You go through there, you put some work into it. I mean, this is not and it shouldn't be an easy thing. You've got to put the time into putting the information in and realizing it, so that you get the value out of it.
Right.
And that's even before you contact an attorney, which is hard to do, because the first thing people say is, "Oh my God, I've got to get an attorney. I need help with this." You slow down. This is not a process that's going to happen.
Slow your roll, right?
Yeah, this is not a process. For the love of God, let me tell you, it's not a process that's going to happen overnight.
Right. And that's a great key. I always tell people, please do this before you see an attorney, because then you at least know, well, what is it that I want to tell the attorney? The attorney is really your employee. You're paying them a service. You should be already telling them, look, this is how I want my divorce structured, because it's like a business. You're dissolving a business, and really it's all about negotiation. I mean, there's nothing cut and dry that needs to be within your divorce decree. For example, my ex-spouse pays me more in child support because after I showed him a bunch of my spreadsheets, because this is what I designed 7 years ago, such as the living arrangements and how much time he traveled versus I traveled nothing, how much time he's out of the house working versus I actually had a job where I was working from home, so I was able to stay, more into the kids' lives, and that's better for the kids. And so as we started looking at exactly what the costs are, on one of my spreadsheets, I actually have outlined all the costs up until college. And child support doesn't cover all that. So, it's easy to say I want to get divorced, but you also have to consider, okay, prom dresses, tuxedos, when you teach your kid to drive, insurance, for a car, or
school lunch accounts.
Oh, school lunch accounts, exactly. Yeah. Or what if your child has a learning disability or a challenge and you need to hire tutors, or you need to buy extra books or books that are audio, or all the other things I've had to do with one of my children. I mean, all that stuff adds up. And so I designed Divorce Games to be all-inclusive because I actually compiled this data from listening to everyone else who's been divorced, and I listened to all their pain points, like, oh, I wish I had this in my decree. Why didn't my attorney tell me this and that? Remember, they're human, and our brains only can hold so much information. So it's not really all your attorney's fault either. I mean, it's like a working partnership that you need to have with your attorney, and you don't even have to choose an attorney. That's the brilliance of getting divorced, but you have to do all the work ahead of time. This is your marriage that you are breaking up, and it's up to you to decide what it's going to look like.
Absolutely. And again, it's incredible because it really helps you. Look, the main focus, especially when there's kids involved, is the welfare of the kids. What's going to be best for the kids?
Right.
You really want to avoid that stereotypical ugly divorce that's out there, because trust me, I've been through it, and I think that this certainly would have helped me in the long run.
Right. And as I said before in one of my videos, it's all about forgiveness. It's not, when I'm angry at someone, it doesn't really hurt you. You're going on with your life going on. Yep. It just hurts the person that's angry, I mean, You don't sleep, and then you don't eat, or you eat too much, or you don't exercise, or you take it out on your kids or the dog or whoever. And, I mean, it just is not good for anyone. And so that's the other thing with Divorce Games is I want to decrease that stress level for you as much as possible, because we already know that divorce is stressed.
It is.
Well, I thank you so much for taking the time to come meet with me, and I'm sure that someday we will probably collaborate again and discuss more about our different businesses, because we are going to have different revenue streams as we talked about yesterday, and I look forward to discussing where else you're going to go with your businesses.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.